Hey, so it's Highway Robbery here. And we got us a brand new Mr. Buddy heater. This is the 9000 BTU with a low and high setting. And I'm going to be adding just to set it up and test it out, I'm going to be putting it on the 20-pound tank. So I went ahead and got everything that's needed. I think that's needed, which is going to be the hose, the heater, and the propane. Now, this is the instructions that come with the hose. My total prices on the hose and the Mr. Buddy heater was $118. That's tax included and everything. The hose itself was $30. So I just want to make that clear. $30 for the hose, and it was like $75, $80 for the Mr. Buddy heater. And I bought this just because of Bob Wells and Cheap RV Living, and all the good things I've heard about it and on his channel. So we're just gonna bust this open and see what we got, what we're working with. But we just want to start off by saying, a lot of there's no tape or Teflon or anything that's gonna go on this system, and that's simply because it's a O-ring based system. That's that black ring on the end. I'm not going to take it off and show you, but it's basically it's a O. The kit, the hose kit comes with this plastic. I'm having issues getting off. Comes with this plastic piece, and it's just more like a little cheap plastic tool that comes with it. But you got to make sure to put it on before you stick it on, because that's the only way you're going to be able to tighten it onto the propane tank. And the same thing with the propane tank. Probably can't see it, but you can't see it. But inside of there is going to be a black O-ring also, and it's the same thing. It seals up nice and safe. No, I'm not using this in the house. It's going to be for the camper that I'm rebuilding. And this is just the basic 4000 and 9000. It's got a fold down handle, swivel out regulator. I see it says temporary heat for workshops, porches, patios, garages, picnics, trucks and horses. It says it heats up 225 square feet. Now, if you don't know how to get square feet, you want to multiply your length times your width, and that comes out to your square footage. So 10 times 10 would be 100, and that would be 100 square feet. So for any small, I see why people say that these things are so powerful for the small vans or vehicles or campers or fifth wheels, whatever they're using. It's always nice to read these. For some reason why these are not for sale in Massachusetts. Probably because they can't tax the propane coming out of it. But I'm going to read this sooner or later. And it's simply, anything you buy, you should read the manual on it, because you might learn something, you might not. So I'm imagining this thing takes some batteries. Alright, so it does have a swivel. That's pretty cool. It's more for the gas, the small disposable cylinders. Dated manufacture was 05 of 18, so it's only about 6 months old. Alrighty. Still looking for the batteries. So anyways, all you're going to do is you're going to take your nice lovely hose and one part's going to go in the tank and one part's going to go in the thing. Now just remember, this hose does not have a regulator on it. The regulator is built in to the Mr. Buddy. That means if you plug it into this propane tank and turn it on, it's going to spew gas out. Very dangerous, very smelly, and very wasteful. Now look, these things don't need to be, you don't need to get a pair of pliers and put God's mighty strength into it in order to tighten this down. You got to understand that I'm a fairly strong person, so I can hand tighten this and it'll be sufficient. If you don't, got big rough hands, calloused up, cut up, you should see the video where I cut that open, and then I did a cut right there too. But get you a pair of pliers and just give it a slight twerk, and it's just enough to get it tight. Again, you're not trying to crank this thing down with almighty strength. There's an O-ring on there, a ring on the other side, and it's the same thing. The O-ring is what does the sealing, not how tight you tighten it. And this is only brass. Brass is not that strong. It's very soft, meaning you can damage it. Just in case you can't figure it out, this does not turn to the right. It does not turn that way. That's how you take it off. One way to know that, there's a little trick for you. If you see that notch right there, there's a small notch on every side. There's a small notch right there. Now, whenever you see that on brass fittings, that means it's a reverse thread. So normally you would turn it in and you would want to turn to the right. All right. So on these, turn them to the left. If you ever see that and say you're taking something off, you don't go cranking on that to the, well, if you crank on it to the right, it'll take it off. But if you crank on it to the left, anyways, you get the point. What you do is use that handy dandy black piece that come with it. Now on these, it needs to be tighter than the Mr. Buddy heater. But again, if you put a crescent wrench on here or a pair of pliers, you don't need to squeeze this thing as all God is mighty as earth. Just want it tight enough to where it's good and snug. I can still take that off by hand and put it back on by hand. So let me figure out where the batteries go.